people are constantly raising the bar.
Sacrifices need to be made.
What would you guys say are your biggest weaknesses?
You or your enemy right now?
The success of life.
Just a fucking podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Student Side Hustle. This week I'm speaking to Camilla from Lix. Basically what this is they make textbooks in a much more affordable and easy format, and I'll let her explain a bit of it, but basically, Camilla, how did you get into this? How did this all start? Because it's quite a scary thing, and how did you make this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. When it all started back when I was a student. I was studying economics in one of the universities in Denmark, and I very fast became tired and annoyed by the expensive textbooks that I had to carry around in my backpack, and sitting through, you know, when you go with your thumb and you like through the book, sit like that at exams and not being able to find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Only because the flexibility of a physical textbook is not very high. So I thought there must be an easier way to do this. So I went back after a particular exam where I was really annoyed about not being able to find a specific theory. So I actually ended up not answering a part of the exam question. So I went back and I Googled Spotify for textbooks, because I thought, you know, I use Netflix, I use Spotify, I use all these other services that is a subscription. There must be a similar textbook service, but I couldn't find anything. And then I started to wonder, like, why did nobody do this? Because it's very straightforward. It's a subscription and it's textbooks. And textbooks are super expensive and there's so many students in the world. Why did nobody do this? So it kind of triggered my curiosity. And then I started to look into this industry. And the first thing I did, I was 19 at this point. The first thing I did was I called a bookstore similar to Barnes & Noble's.
Yeah.
In Denmark, and I said, hey, I would like to distribute your books digitally. And then the man I talked to on the other end, he started laughing at me, because he said, you can't talk to us about that. You need to talk to the owners of the rights, the copyrights, which are the publishers.
Yeah.
And then I realized this was a completely different game, and it was there's a reason that this wasn't done before, because the distribution rights from the publishers are extremely hard to get your hands on, because the security in the industry is so high. So then I actually, half a year later, I was very convinced that this was somebody in the world was going to do this at some point, and why not me? So I ended up actually dropping out of my studies. I was doing my bachelor at the point. I'd been studying for 1.5 years, so I actually have no education whatsoever now, which is kind of ironic, because that's the industry we're working in. So then I moved back to my mom, back in with my mom, and started saving up all I could to get this company started. And I had no idea about how to do software or how to start a company. Like, literally no idea. So I started a day job in an office where I helped out, and then I had a part-time job as a waiter in a very, very lousy chain of restaurants here in Denmark. But you know, it made it possible for me to save up even more. So I was in the office in the day, and then I was doing the waitress job in the evening. And then when late at night, like 11:30, I came back, then I started working on the company. Creating presentations for investors and stuff like that. So I stayed with my mom for, I would say, 3/4 of a year. So until October 2014. And in the meantime, I found an IT development partner that could do the software development. And then I took a loan in the bank, which took forever to convince them that they should bet on this 19-year-old girl that had no idea what she was doing. But I got it through. And then it actually ended up during 2014, when I collaborated with this company in December, I realized that they were scamming me, actually. So all the money that I'd saved up and all the money that I've loaned went down the drain right there. And then the first company went bankrupt. In the beginning of 2015.
So everything you'd worked for that whole time just went, was that because of the company you collaborated with?
Yeah.
That is, how did you bounce back from that? And like, how did you, like, because at this point, you're like 19, 20, you just left high school and left university to go and do this. And then that happens. Like, what gave you like the motivation, inspiration, or whatever to carry on and then to go do this?
First of all, of course, it was a major like hit in the face or blow in the face. What, I don't know what it's called. Hit in the face.
Yeah.
You've worked so hard for it, only 1.5 years or something, or a year full time, or at least after I dropped out. But I was so like, I've been so naive in my belief of this happening.
Yeah.
From the beginning, and I think that wasn't any different after this. It was a lot of money, and I'm still paying off on the loan today, even though I didn't get anything from it. But I learned a lot from that experience, and I'm taking that with me, and I did that afterwards, and I thought, okay. And I'm also a very stubborn person, so when I've set a goal for myself, then I'm gonna pursue it until I drop it or or I figure out that it can't be done.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a part of it. And when I realized it was a scam, I of course got really upset but more angry and more like, I'm gonna show you that I can do this without you. That you made a major mistake, because if you just develop the website and the software that we needed, so I could go out and raise investment from raise capital from investors, then we would have been able to do a partnership, but you just blew it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make you regret that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's more the motivation I think I had at the time. So after that, fortunately I had been building a network during 2014. So I spent a lot of time being out in the ecosystem, startup ecosystem, talking to investors. I found my co-founder just a couple of months before the first company went bankrupt, and then he had a little bit of money to put into the second try. So in the beginning of 2015, we founded the company, the new company. He was doing a full-time job in another company. So, but he was putting the money in, and then I convinced 2 business angels to invest some money each, and then we actually ended up having $450,000 in the beginning of 2015 to give it another try.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and I found 3 developers, and it's good to not good to mention. It's in the meantime that in the end of 2014.
Yeah.
When all this happened, I also moved back to the city where I studied, and I was living with my wife, a girl I met that I became friends with, and she had a studio apartment with a couch in it. And because I couldn't afford, I didn't pay myself salary for the first couple of years. Because it was my own money in the company, so it didn't make any sense to put it in and then pay taxes when you take it out. So I was just living off like nothing, and she offered me to live on her couch, and I actually ended up staying there for 1.5 years in her studio apartment. And we had this agreement where I would that she would cook and I would clean and clean the place. So that's how I basically got food for almost 1.5 years. So this was the period of end 2014 and then throughout 15. And then since we got since we started the second try, then things kind of took off. We developed the platform for the first year, and then launched it in January 2016, only with 2,000 textbooks on it. It was a lousy solution. It was built out of sticks. It was so terrible. The platform was falling apart, and the design looked not very neat, and we didn't have any books for anybody. So it was the relevance of the product was not really there, but the textbooks were much cheaper, and we did get some customers already.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very important lesson, is like, don't perfect your product until, because you can always keep perfecting your product. And when you launch a company, and especially when you launch a product, then there's always another thing that you can do better, or you can, but it's like, don't strive for perfect, because then you're just going to be too late. You need to get it out in the market and learn from the feedback of your customers.
How do you find that,
and
like,
also it's
level of certain perfection that you think you need, whether it's for like submitting an essay or selling a product? It's always like people never know when to stop putting in the work.
I think an essay is something different, because that needs to be of high quality. But if you have an idea and you want to launch a software, especially in the software world, physical products is a different story, and I don't have much experience with that, so I don't want to say anything because I don't know anything about that. But when it comes to software, it's super important to get a version out, like a minimum viable product, as soon as you possibly can. You need to be like super embarrassed by the product. And you need to think, oh my God, it's so embarrassing that I did this and people are seeing it, and oh my God, what are they thinking? And you need to feel like that, because otherwise you've done it too late. And if you do it too late, there's a major chance that you are thinking in your own little, in your sitting in your dorm room, and you are thinking, oh my God, this app can solve the problems for all of the students. But actually, it's just a need that you've experienced, and it's not universal. And you need to figure out what product market fit your product has. So the faster you get it out there, the faster you can get feedback on if it's the right product or not, and if it is, if it isn't, how to tweak it. And you see too many companies that sit in between, like within four walls, and just develop and spend millions and millions of dollars doing it, and then they launch a product and nobody wants it.
Yeah, and like figuring out if the market's actually there. Like for so long with this podcast, it was called like Walsham Weekly, and I didn't know who I was marketing to. I didn't know who it was for. I didn't even know what it was about. It was just about self-development in like a very broad term. And I feel like ever since I've sort of narrowed down on students, I've found more like just clarity, and actually realized like what it's actually about.
Yeah.
How did you make that like decision to drop out? Because one of the things that I'm quite a big advocate is either like love your degree or drop out and do something else. Like, because I don't think anyone should, unless you're in a very, very dire financial circumstance, but like I don't think anyone should really be doing something that they hate if they have any other option. How did you know when it was the right time for you to drop out and go pursue this?
I could just feel that it wasn't right. Like, I was not meant to go to universities. I love education more than anything. I love developing myself, and I love learning new skills. But university and the theoretical approach to, especially like this was like, it was business economics. So it's not like pure economics. And I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to get out and learn and apply this new thing I learned into the real world. But you can't really do that at university. And I think some people are made for university and some people are just not. And you need to realize when you're not. And it's not a bad thing. And that's one of the things, at least in Denmark, like it's seen down on if you're like, if you can't handle university. And that's such a bad thing. Like, from a society standpoint, we need to make the choice free. Like, we need to open all options to people, because people are so different. But there's kind of like, the society have made the footprints for you, and you just need to fill them out. And even though you're like freaking depressed for 5 years while you're studying, you just walk those footsteps, because that's what your mom and dad is telling you, and that's what society is telling you, and that's what all the big companies that you can get hired by afterwards are telling you. I'm the contrary. I'm like, screw that. You need to do whatever you feel like doing, and you need to do what makes you happy. And it sounds so cliche and disgusting, but I really think it's true.
It's like the reason people say it so much is because it's so like fundamentally true. And it's like the reason that no one's like saying, oh no, don't do that. Do where the money is, because like the people, like there's no one who's saying that, because it's just simply not true. Because like there was this study, it was like saying how over 75k or something, I think up to 95k, like you don't get any more happiness over that amount. And then it's just like, then why care about where the money is leading, or why care about something you don't enjoy for for like whatever it is, 8 hours a day, and then waste that amount of time in your life, and then end up at the end of your life feeling sad and depressed and unfulfilled. And that's something that like I think scares the shit out of a lot of students, because they don't know what they want, if they want to do what they're actually doing.
I think actually the biggest source of depression in the United States is academia, like attending university. That is scary. Like it's far above financial challenges.
And that's where it's like someone's gone and made that choice and then regretted it, or been like, I can't even imagine that kind of just regret, I guess, because I can imagine feeling trapped in that circumstance, because you've put all this money into it, and then at the end of 2.5 years and you hate it. But
it's going to be more expensive for you to not do it. Yes, it's a lot of money, and yes, it's very different. In Denmark, you don't pay for education, so it's a very different scenario. So I am like, I can't exactly put myself in the shoes of a student that has, their parents' life saving put into their education. But I think, to be honest, it's so much more expensive to not do it in the right time. And I think you need to, throw out the thoughts of disappointing your family and disappointing your friends, disappointing yourself. Yeah. Because like, who is the one who's gonna live your life when it comes to like, when everything comes down to that, and that's you. And you need to be able to live with those choices. So if you like, and there's so many options today, and people don't realize that you can drop out today, and then you can go to travel to Bali or to Cambodia or whatever, somewhere that you have good Wi-Fi, and start take a course in UX design or UI design or whatever, coding, I don't care. Find something that you find interesting. There are a million courses online. It costs literally nothing. And then start working as a freelancer. See where it takes you. See, like, explore yourself. Find out what you like and what you don't like. Or take a job in a grocery store and sit there and then figure out on the side what you want. It's so much more important than to just spend all those years of your life. I think it's just such a waste. Like what I've learned is, personally, I'm not made for university. I am not, I don't fancy it. Now, because I've been working on this for 5 years, which is crazy, then I feel like I've had, I've gotten the education anyways, but just from a different source. And when I look at my, my peers that I used to study with that finished I think they're finishing their masters actually this year. Yeah. Then I feel like I learned so much more. Yeah. Because I've been in all these situations. We've raised $7.5 million in capital. We have really cool investors. We have the second most wealthy family as one of our investors in Denmark. Yeah. We have really cool connections all around the world. I'm traveling around, speaking to all kinds of people, and while doing something that is so interesting and with a team that is just great. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And, I'm probably, because I did what I really wanted to do instead of just staying in university, and I'm not saying that it's for everyone, because it isn't. Yeah. Then, you're if I wanted to go seek a job today, I would probably have a better chance of getting it than people with, a master's degree and straight A's, and I don't even have an education. So, I think it's more about the experience.
Yeah, and I feel
who you are, what do you want?
And I feel like even if you are going to do university, like, the idea of the show is basically, cool, do university if you like your degree, but even if you're just going to drudge on with your degree and you don't like it, have a side hustle, like have something on the side that you enjoy and something that you know is purely basically a hobby, but it's a productive hobby. Like even like a YouTube channel or like a podcast, whatever. Like even just my friend, I have like a few friends who have clothing companies, and they're just normal kids in university, and it's like I feel like it's so beneficial because you get to practically apply everything, and you can apply everything that you're learning, which is mainly like learning online, because that's the first place I go to learn now. And that's why I think like the whole like online textbooks thing, I think it's genius, because if I like now when we get textbooks, we have this really like dodgy way of getting them online. Like it's this really clunky system for my university personally. Like it doesn't work very well. But
no,
I would just, there's a 0% chance I would carry those textbooks around with me. And I think like it's amazing to see you're completely disrupting an industry, because like I would never carry textbooks around with me. I don't want to pay whatever amount it is for textbooks. And it's like, I don't even, like, I can't even see myself using them like to study while I'm at university. I'd use them at home. But it's like, it's just because there's such a burden to have as a physical object. Like, especially because, like, okay, already I have a YouTube channel as well. I made a university bag video, right? And I didn't put any of my textbooks in there because I don't think they belong there. Like, I have normal stuff that helps me stay like healthy and go to the gym at uni, all that kind of stuff. But my textbooks aren't in there. How did you like think of this? How did you go about doing this when you're basically disrupting an industry that is already like so concrete? Like it can't be an easy thing to disrupt.
No, I think it's like the biggest challenge was to get the publishers to open up.
Yeah.
That's been a major challenge. But we also have really good collaborations with them now, and it took 2.5 years to get the first contract. It took so long, and we needed to get through security checks with their cybersecurity teams and all these things. And when you're only like when you're 2 founders and then 3 developers, that's completely that you don't get anything else done than the security part for 6 months. Then you don't really advance in the product. So it's been a major challenge, but we finally got it through, and we started from the top. So we are working with we tried to do like the Facebook rollout. So Facebook started on Harvard, and it was like a very vertical approach. So they wanted to go deep one place, or at least that's how it happened. And we wanted to do the same thing because we wanted to stick on in one location, but it's super hard to get one textbook from one publisher and then another textbook from another publisher. They want these full-blown distribution deals, and they want to see a ton of money. So we couldn't actually do that. So we went back to our desks and started brainstorming, and we figured out that if we could close the biggest publisher first, like Pearson and McGraw-Hill and Wiley and O'Reilly and Cengage and all those, if we can close one of them, then some of the others must feel like, okay, hey, we're missing out. What is this new thing? So that's actually what we did. So we started targeting the top publishers in the beginning, and we ended up not Pearson or McGraw-Hill in the beginning. Those have taken literally 4 years to close. But then we got the first distribution agreement with one of the big publishers, and then suddenly it started to get a little easier, and then it got a little more easy, and then a little easier. And today it's we have a team doing that, where my co-founder is the head of head of the team. Just a comment on what you said before about the university and side hustle, because I just had a note to that. I think it's like a challenge that I would give people listening to this podcast would be to quit Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, and at least for 30 days, just try it out and figure out something else to do. While you the time when you usually spend it on Netflix or Facebook or Instagram, it's not doing anything good for you. And it's a waste of your time, and it makes you depressed because you can see how awesome everyone else's life is, and Facebook has become one big advertising wall. So what are you are you gonna spend 5 hours a day attacking your friends in memes. Which
Yeah.
it is quite funny, I'll admit that. But is that what you want to do, or you want to advance yourself and get better? And I think that could be a really healthy challenge for everyone, for anyone. Sorry.
That's like it's
I just thought of that.
So like true, because the people that I see just in my peer group, because I'm still like 19, like the people I see in my peer group who I can tell they're not happy, whether it's with what they're doing or who they hang out with or whatever, just not satisfied with themselves or with whatever. They spend hours and hours on Facebook. They talk about the shows that they watch, and it's short-term gratification for absolutely no benefits long-term. And then it just baffles me. Like, I cannot see how people can be like, oh, I can't wait to go home and watch 5 hours of Netflix. Like, you don't remember the shows in 3 days. Like, it just.
No, I don't understand it. I don't even have a TV. Like, I don't watch the news because they're super depressing. Yeah. I stay updated, but I don't watch news. I don't watch TV. I don't watch Netflix. I don't use Instagram. I delete Facebook from my phone. Yeah. I don't spend time on anything. I do things that I like and that, brings me, happiness. Yeah. Instead of doing this, because I can just feel like this, self-loathing when you're, I don't know if that's the right word, but when you're looking in Instagram and the only thing you see is Victoria's Secret models and you're looking at yourself in the mirror like, that's not exactly how I look, and nobody looks like that. But it's just this constant reminder that you're not good enough. Either because this cool guy with this cool car skiing in Japan, or this girl in a bikini on some other island. What is it actually? Why do you want to do that to yourself? Like, for example, I have a trip to Cambodia this actually in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna travel by myself, which I chose to do, and I'm gonna just backpack around and stay at hostels, and I'm gonna go to a yoga retreat where I'm gonna stay for a week, and there's no cell phones or mobile computers allowed, and you can't drink alcohol and you can't do all these things, just a complete detox
from
week,
this
and also do that to just get away from the daily hassle that everyone feels. It feels like everyone is becoming zombies, just walking around.
And I feel like I never want to get into that
when you're in the tube.
Like I would never want to get into that consistent grind where I just go through the routine and nothing's changing, nothing's getting better, nothing is like I feel like I want to stay in the period where I am continually progressing emotionally, happiness wise, physically, like just in all these different ways, like, and I feel like that's something that a lot of students don't focus on enough. But like it's coming. It's like me, armchair psychologist trying to say, but like they all know it's true as well. It's just it's hard to get people to motivate themselves to live that productive lifestyle and not go on Instagram for 8 hours a day. Do you have any? I think let's finish off this because I don't want to steal your time. But what would be your last piece of advice for students to live a productive, happy, and risk-taking life?
Two things. So first, delete all the social media apps from your phone, and do that right now. And just do it for a month and see what happens. And just test it, see it as an experiment. Because that is going to give you so much time, I promise. It's a miracle in itself. After I just deleted Facebook, I've really spent no time. And suddenly yesterday I realized I haven't checked Facebook in 5 days. And I'm like, I used to check it 3 times a day. Yeah. And the second thing is ask yourself when you're on what is it called? Crossway.
A crossroad.
When you're in a crossroad, thank you. When you're in a crossroad and you need to figure out to do, one thing or the other, no matter what, if that is what to study or to drop out or to start a small company or do a side hustle or whatever, then ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? Yeah. And actually go through step by step. Okay, if I drop out and then I get no job, then what happens? Then I have no income. Then I need to move back to my parents. Then I need to, just think it through and actually write it down. And then when you get to the last step of it, of the worst thing that could happen, then figure out if that's actually so bad.
Yeah.
And usually it's more about people's pride.
Yeah.
Or than it is. They're afraid of failing in front of someone else, in front of their friends and all that. So it's a very like socially aware thing, more than making the decision based on what you want. And if you do that, I've just experienced it. If you try to write out the worst thing that could happen, then it actually isn't so bad. And then you can like be clear. You can be, you can decide on it and say, okay, I'm worth the risk of ending there if everything just goes sideways, and then just jump out into it.
Yeah. And where can people find Lix online or?
Well, Lix has, of course, a website. It's lix.com, lix.com, and we also have a Facebook and an Instagram profile and stuff like that, LinkedIn, whatever you prefer. And we were talking about doing a podcast or a YouTube channel, but we'll see if that works out.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Student Side Hustle. I would appreciate so much if you would leave a review if you'd like to hear more of what I'm saying. Then I would love if you would follow me on Instagram or check out my other social media, all linked in the show notes. And again, I would just like to say thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening and study hard.